Hey there, I'm Mark, and I love Maryland Heights. And one of the things I love about Maryland Heights is all the interesting stories, all the interesting people, and just all the interesting things to do, just all wrapped up into one place. Today, we have an extraordinary opportunity to share with you a very unique person, a man who does so many creative endeavors, and I don't think has ever said no. Welcome to I Love Maryland Heights, Drew Pinson.
Hello, hello. I'm happy and honored to be here.
And I'm very delighted if you were able to see this. Drew is in a dashing suit today.
I am in between game shows right now. I have a game show for one of my many jobs. I'm a game show host, and I raced out here still in all of my, as the kids would call it, drip.
So one day I was walking into my gym to go get my swole on, and then some super smiley, cheerful guy, I don't even know if it was at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., or 6 a.m. You were just way too happy for the time of the day, and you just started talking and paying attention, and you're actually walking around the gym, checking in with people, and you, at that time, were an assistant manager of the gym, and it was at that moment I realized you're a very different kind of person. You actually care about people.
Well, I appreciate that. That was not my first gym. I had several amazing managers beforehand and other gym owners that I had worked closely with, and I learned a lot of that white glove service. And that gym that we met at, being my first big box open to the public gym, I brought that small box with it and all of the tools in that arsenal. And actually, you, as much as you liked it, that actually put quite a few people off. It was a lot of, am I in trouble? Or why are you talking to me?
You're going to make me wipe off my equipment? You're going to make me unrack my weights? Like, what? You going to make me stop grunting?
Yeah, after like a 4 or 5 minute conversation where I'm definitely messing up your timing or in your overall workout.
There's definitely a time frame in which you're annoying at the gym. If somebody talks to you for more than 3 or 4 minutes, it's just sort of like, it's 5 a.m. I'm not here because I got a world of time. Talk to the 7 p.m. people who are just there because they got nothing else better to do. I actually, with Gary, our awesome producer, really created this podcast with the intention of sharing people like you with our community, because people walk by you all the time and they don't understand just the extraordinary stories that you have. And you're not the only person with extraordinary stories. I know that there's at least 4 or 5 other people in the Maryland Heights area that have extraordinary stories and just are extraordinary people. So can I just start with the backstory?
Yeah, absolutely. When people ask me to describe myself, or like when you get that question in an interview, so tell me a little bit about yourself. I would say, well, I'm part musician, part fitness enthusiast, part comedian and entertainer. And I just kind of try to live this life where I can jumble all 3 of those into one as best I can. But it's different. I'm not a number cruncher. I'm not what you would call like a business professional. At least I wouldn't call that, because I'm too busy re-racking weights that people are leaving around, or putting guitars back up on the wall that people have decided to play and not put back up, or hosting game shows. That's my big thing now. I've recently become a game show host, and that allows me the most creative outlet that I think I might have ever had. As a musician, as a recorded musician, I get to ad-lib freely for an hour at a time, and it is an incredible job to have. I'm jealous of people who do not get to host game shows. It is just incredible to be able to get paid to do what I do.
Which has morphed over time. So you're from Jeffco.
Yep.
And for people who are transplants to the St. Louis area, what's a Jeffco?
A Jeffco is somebody who was born in Jefferson County, Missouri.
Which is south of St. Louis.
Just south. I'm from Imperial, which is basically Arnold, which is about as close as you can get to St. Louis County without actually heading in there. You could throw a baseball into St. Louis County from Arnold.
What city were you born in?
Imperial.
And when you play Skyrim, the side of the Civil War you choose is?
The Stormcloaks.
Fighting against the
Imperials.
Do you feel like a Benedict Arnold? Do you say like, hey, I see his side, like I'm going to go out and betray my people?
No, I sure don't. And you know I don't, Mark. And this is not the time nor place.
You're born under imperial authority. Do you think that's maybe like childhood trauma, that you're trying to take down the empire of Imperial Missouri, and that's why you fight for the barbaric Stormcloaks?
No. And just because they're big and strong, looking right at you, just because they're big and strong doesn't make them barbarians. They're fighting for religious freedoms.
Which I can say amen to. So you went to Jeffco, and what was your first job? Because clearly you are good at all sorts of jobs. What's your first job?
I was 16 years old. You know what I got for my 16th birthday? I got a stack of resumes. My mom and dad were out for the weekend. They were just out running around doing errands, and they get back home and they dropped it in front of me and went, "Happy birthday, son." And I'm looking through and there's Sonic, White Castle, Culver's, Home Depot. This was back when anybody had paper resumes. Like every job I've worked at for the past decade, the answer is always the same. You have to go online. But one called me back because they made sure I went and hand delivered each one as they were teaching me like skills to pay the bills. And that was a little diner called Ginny's with a J. It was in Barnhart, which is just south of Imperial. And it was just a diner. Ice cream, burgers, Terminator 2, pinball machine. It was a fun time.
What'd you do there?
Flipping burgers.
On the grill?
Yep, for a whole 2 weeks.
What happened that you got let go? Did you get promoted? Were you manager already?
No. I had told a coworker who was my age, I had told her that I thought she had very pretty eyes.
They fired you for that?
And I was brought into the office the next day. I was told that is exactly something that could be construed as harassment, and my services were no longer needed. She pulled the tape and listened to it, and that was it. It was like, you have pretty eyes. Done.
So you told somebody that she had pretty eyes?
Yes.
And she was ready to just say, hey, get going, hit the road.
Well, I won't tell you what that person had said to me beforehand, which was way more out of pocket than my response of, well, you have really pretty eyes.
Man, you should have said, your eyes make me nauseous.
Yep, it makes me want to throw up. Don't look at me with your eyes.
You have eyes. That would have been okay. You didn't say like all creepy, like, you have pretty eyes.
Your eyes are so perfectly round. Yeah. And that was an introduction to work life, though. It wasn't that soon after that I got my first real job that I still go back and see them every chance I get in Fenton, which is still basically Jeffco.
Did you open up with, hey, you still got pretty eyes?
Yep, I did. I walked right into Tower Music in Fenton and I said, hey, is there anybody here that nobody here has pretty eyes, right? Because I need a job.
What kind of parents for the son's 16th birthday give him a stack of applications and say, get a job? Tell me more about that.
The kind of parents that met selling vacuum cleaners door to door in 1988.
See, I'm not asking this sarcastically or acidically. Like, this is interesting, because now people, sometimes they don't even drive till they're in their 20s or 30s. They don't have a job, or they just kind of just play video games. They got out of high school and now they just live in the basement. So your parents, do you consider them why you were so entrepreneurial and adventurous? The
two of them, I always tell every job interview I'm at, I say I'm a salesperson raised by salespeople. And that still rings true, even though neither of them are in sales anymore. But I grew up watching them give the car guy, like when they would go buy a car, give them a really hard time. Or anybody that ever tried to give us a bid on anything, a very hard time. The two of them there was a kind of an age gap too. She was 19, he was 27, 28, and they would load up in the van every day, load up a few vacuums, just hit the town and knock on your door and say, hey, do we have a deal for you? And so they had to grind. That is capital G grind.
That is grind. I love anytime there's a negotiation. If you're going to go buy a car or something like that, I love those moments, because in any sort of opportunity where there's conflict or conflict of interest, there's opportunities for opportunity to see what kind of deal you can get. I love those opportunities. So if anybody wants me to go with them to go negotiate a car, please call me. You can call Drew. Maybe he'll get you a better deal, but I'm going to have so much fun. I love saying, they'll say, hey, this is it. Is it really it? I mean, if you're telling me if you had a suitcase of cash right here for $3,000 less than you're asking, you're really going to tell that suitcase to walk out the door.
That's right. And because of that, I've spent my life selling. It feels like just selling guitars and musical equipment, selling personal training, selling my own guitar services via lessons. It's just sell. And now with the game show host thing, the sale is already made. I just get to show up and perform.
Yeah. All right. So what happened after Ginny's? Did it take you like a whole day to recover emotionally and get another job?
It took me about a year to tell my mom why I was let go. I just told her I was bad at the job. Like, she said I was bad at the job and I couldn't do it anymore.
Then what happened? Like, what was your next job?
I believe it was Tower Music in Fenton, the oldest music store in St. Louis. They're about to come upon 80 years. If it's not this year, it's next year. 80 years. Used to be Tower Grove Music, but then they moved out of the city area and into the county and just dropped the Grove part, Tower Music.
Why'd you pick them?
That's where I learned how to play guitar. That's where I went to go take my first real lessons. That's the place that made me a guitar player. And then when I turned 16, I guess I lost the Ginny's job. I just begged him for a job. Like, I'll come dust guitars. I will come like vacuum the floors. And that turned into actual behind the counter work all through high school, which turned into, after I was done with college, I came back and became a teacher there. And I became a teacher in the place where I learned to be a guitar player. And that was very special.
How many lessons did you take for guitar? Was this thing you took for months and months and months, or years and years and years?
Years and years and years.
Really?
Yeah. And it was something and Dad were happy to pay for, even when we weren't, times were tough. We're talking late 2007. I don't know if you remember the goings on in the world during late 2007 and all of 2008.
Yeah, the bubble burst.
It was a hard time. A lot of people were not just not receiving bonuses or losing their job. They were like, a lot of companies were going around taking pay cuts. I remember when we got to get rid of like all the good channels on the television. It was just a hard time. But I was always allowed one thing. I wasn't gonna. My mom very much insisted that I was not going to be one of these kids you see now that's got karate on Mondays and baseball on Tuesdays and underwater basket weaving on Wednesdays and all of these activities. She's like, you get one. You can go play football, but you got to stop playing basketball. We're only going to do one.
We did the same thing in our home when our kids were small. They're not small anymore. They're grown. Neither of them are minors anymore. And the rule was you can have two things. We're not going to do all the things. And besides, if you're going to do all the things, you're not going to be good at any of them. And it's just going to be frustrating. And you don't get family time. You don't get to sit around and do dinner. You don't get to sit around and play Scrabble. You don't get to sit around and play categories. You just don't. You're running from thing to thing to thing to thing. And then you're just a taxi cab driver. And somebody else is spending that time and somebody else is passing on their values. So it's just not a good thing. Now, if they wanted to do something that was going to be several nights a week, that'd be fine. But not the stack of things. And there's several people that I have seen that they're so busy doing that the kid ends up hating all those things because they did it all the time. And then they just fall away. There's no church, no family vacations, no family holidays, just nothing because they're just like, you're just strangers on the planet to me. And it's heartbreaking when you see that happen. So guitar, what you think?
Guitar.
Why guitar?
Why guitar? Probably something like Guitar Hero. At the time, it was, my father and mom, that's not fair, but Dad was very, very musically inclined. We would always play the games. We'd always play a game called Hey, Who's This? In the car. And we'd put on, gosh, I'm going to date myself because it's not even around, K-Hits 96, or which is still around, K-She 95. We'd always put on these classic rock stations and we'd play Hey, Who's This? Oh, it's Def Leppard. No. This is the Eagles. You got that wrong. We weren't often wrong.
So when you're at Tower Grove Music, is that when you started working at different music stores? Did you make that your industry? Because I know you also worked over at the Guitar Center.
Guitar Center wasn't until much later in my life. I want to say I was 26, 27. But with all of these skills and experience that I had gotten from guitar, not just Tower Music, but also anywhere else that I'd had to sell, like selling personal training and everything, that was essentially the job. It wasn't mom and pop music store. It was big conglomerate working on commission music sales, which was fun because I didn't have to be a boots on the ground grinding salesperson. I was the sales manager in charge of all the salespeople. So it was nice. My quotas to hit were making sure that they hit their quotas. And that was actually a lot less stressful than begging and pleading. Like, oh, are you sure you don't want this? Are you sure you don't want this? Like, you need an amplifier, man. You're just buying a guitar. No, we're just going to get the guitar. Oh, are you sure? Like, and then selling the Pro Gear coverage on it and all of that. It was just a lot easier to manage my team than it was to have to be one of the foot soldiers.
I know in one of the organizations you've worked for, you were upset about it being predatory sales. And I appreciate you having that integrity to not want to be a part of predatory sales. And by predatory sales, I mean, for our listeners, I know you know what I'm talking about, but it's where you don't need an amp, but we're going to sell you one. And then once we get you to say yes, we're going to sell you one that's even much nicer than you actually need. And then, you're selling warranties on rocks. Oh, you'd hate for your rock to get wet. Bring that rock back and we'll dry it off for you for free. You're not in predatory sales. And I do appreciate. And so I would love to hear from you. I'm going to give you a moment to kind of ponder it, but I'd love to hear from you. What's the key to sales with integrity? Because all of our listeners are involved in sales. Even if you're an accountant, you are in the job of sales of making sure your boss and your company continue to see value in paying you for your work. Or if you go home and you say, hey, the primary dinner maker, I don't want to make a whole full service taco bar. I'd much rather prefer to make something easier, like grill something on the grill, like grill steaks or make hamburgers out of the freezer. We're all in sales, even in marriages and relationships, you're trying to sell your spouse on, you didn't actually mean to do something mean if you did something, or your kids, you want them to see that your idea and your plan is much better than whatever their plans are. So we're all involved in sales, whether it's professional or not. What would you say is a key or riff on it to non-predatory selling?
I think the best way for it to not feel predatory, because you can grab a regular Joe Schmo and ask them to sell something, and they might just be very uncomfortable asking you to fork over money in any capacity. So they might feel it's predatory in that way. Well, that person didn't want this product until I told them about it. Like, yeah, it's a sales job. But if you believe in what you're selling, like what I was selling wasn't personal training. What I was selling was years back on your life, years to spend with your parents, with your son or daughter, with your brothers and sisters. That's what I was selling. I was selling the ability to get up a flight of stairs without losing your breath at the end of it. I lost 100 pounds in my weight loss journey. I was much bigger, about 19, 20 years old. And my mom walked into the kitchen one day. She said, "Drew, you're getting fat, man." She used the big F fat word. "You're getting fat." And she got me a gym membership, and I started going and running and eating better. And I got into the prime of my life. By 25, I looked nothing like I looked when I was 19. And I know how good that feels, and I know what I did in as far as my quality of life happened. So I believed in that product wherever I've sold personal training, because it's been quite a few places. I believe in what I'm doing. I understand that there's some sticker shock, because it's like hiring a hairstylist or a tattoo artist. You're hiring them by the hour for their expertise, for something that you cannot do by yourself. But hopefully that rubs off and you can kind of get the ball rolling after a year or two with your personal trainer, and then you can live the rest of your life meal planning your own meals, not paying for somebody to do it, choreographing your own workouts, not paying for somebody to do that. It's a jumping off platform. It's to get you ready and primed. And so believe in it. And it's also nice to not sell a protection plan. There is no protection plans on personal training. Like, hey, if we break your trainer, we'll get you a brand new one. Don't worry about it.
I imagine like just a little jack, you just like lift them up, pump them back up. I think it's important to help people see, first, if you're going to sell something, make sure it's not against the other person's best interest. You know, like you're saying with the fitness and the personal training, you're actually giving them years back in their life. You're giving them the ability to pick up their kid. You're giving them the ability to walk upstairs and not be gassed. But also, if you're fitness, and I like doing anything fitness related, but you're also able to just process trauma and stress and anxiety and worry. It's just good all the way around. And when you help people, if you can identify the advantages and the benefits and then help people pay attention to that, all of a sudden, hundreds of dollars on personal training is better than hundreds of dollars on extra food I don't need, and then thousands of dollars on medical problems that are just going to pile up on you.
Yeah.
So something I've noticed from hearing your just life story over different times, we've been friends for quite a while, is you always end up in management positions, whether it's in the music industry, fitness, all the other side projects that you've adventured into. Is there anything that you would suggest for people to just sort of have like an upward mobility?
My situation is a little different. I have always tended to fall up. I interview very well. I think it is because I am typically competing against people who might not be as well spoken or have a vocabulary or look somebody in the eyes when they have a conversation. It's just something I kind of inferred about the rest of kind of my generation, especially people that I have worked alongside or who have had work under me. I just am very good at interviewing. I try not to do anything Michael Scott has ever done. Like, that's a really good litmus test on how to be a good manager.
For younger people under 40, Michael Scott was from The Office.
Yeah, it's
back to Drew.
But it is. I really do think it is mostly I'm rolling a charisma check, and I hit 19 and 20. It's just something that I've been able to skate through and fall up with, because I know how to put the resume together and say, here, I am the guy you are looking for. Answer the questions, give them a follow-up question back. It is truthfully a confidence and a charisma thing.
You definitely have a benefit. I don't want to say you were genetically born into it, but your parents being salespeople who had to talk somebody into buying quality vacuums, or you don't eat, or you don't have the ability to go get a bunch of applications and give them to little Drew. I mean, 16. You definitely were born into it as far as like a nurture kind of thing. But I have noticed my parents were teachers, but they weren't very outgoing as far as energetic charisma, fill the space, fill the room, very task oriented. But I definitely listened to a lot of podcasts, and one book that has also contributed to this greatly is that book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Phenomenal book, super clean, super easy. I know some people who are pretty top end business people, they read that book at least once a year. It's just sort of their go-to.
There's that one, and probably those who read that book are definitely right next to it on their bookshelf are reading Atomic Habits.
Great book.
Yeah, I love Atomic Habits. It's a great way to kind of macroscopically look at your life. I think the best part of that book is when they describe that every decision you can make is a hat, a haircut, or a tattoo. You can try on a bunch of a hat would be a decision that, like, you put a hat on, you go, oh, I don't like that. You take it right off. Something that's not forever. A haircut would be a more medium-term decision, like, well, this was a decision that was made. If I don't like it, I can just grow my hair back out. And a tattoo is a tattoo. It's going to be there forever. So every decision is a short, medium, or a long-term effect. And you just have to decide if you're good with this being immediately reconcilable, something you have to live with for a hot minute or two, maybe the length of like a paycheck or two if you make this decision, or a tattoo if you're good with this forever. I like that part of the book.
What would you say is a tattoo decision you've made?
A tattoo decision. I think a lot of tattoo decisions start out as as hats. I didn't have to go talk to my wife, who then became my wife, at this party that one time. Like, talking to her was a hat decision. Us becoming officially boyfriend and girlfriend, that would have been like a haircut decision. Something that would have been a little bit more hard to get over if I ended up not liking that. And then I married her. That was my tattoo decision. So I think a lot of the times those hats become tattoos.
In addition to your lovely wife being a hat that became a tattoo decision, what other tattoo decisions would you say that you've tried on?
My walk with Christ is a big tattoo decision, definitely. By the way, I'm completely honored to be a member of Zion here.
Zion Lutheran in Maryland Heights, where heaven touches earth?
Where heaven touches earth.
Would you consider where you live, Maryland Heights, St. Louis, for you, a hat decision, a haircut decision, or a tattoo decision?
I suppose it'd be a haircut decision, because you can't up and move overnight. You still have to put my home up for sale, find a new place to live. So it is something you have to put a little bit of time in to get to your end game. I would call it a haircut.
I would have considered St. Louis to originally be a hat decision for me, because I came here for school and the idea was to get back to Texas. But then a congregation in the area called me to be a pastor, and then my kids were born here, and then we got a nice house, and then I met Zion, the congregation that I serve, and hope to live the rest of my life. And my kids are both, the paths of their life seem to be very stationary, like here. And so I would say this was originally a hat decision, but it became a tattoo decision, a tattoo thing. And I would say for people who are out there, be very mindful about when those decisions progress to that next step, because you might say this hat's fine enough, so I'll have it as a haircut, and then it becomes a tattoo. And some of those things can be very destructive. Like if you pick somebody who really does not like you, but you're fine with it, or some sort of chemical dependency or a relationship, or some of the jobs that you worked for have not been very good jobs and you would not thrive well there, but you would have figured out a way to thrive there, which would have been to have settled on your values, and you would not be the extraordinary person that you are. So I would say for people, if you have a hat that doesn't fit, take it off. If it's a haircut that doesn't look right on you anymore, get rid of it, because hats become haircuts and haircuts become tattoos.
Yeah. And I'll have to go back and reread the book to see if they talk about a transition there, because it's always, this is what a decision is, not this is what a decision becomes.
Mm-hmm. But it always is, isn't it? Like in Atomic Habits, whatever you do today starts to form a rut. So if you continue to do it tomorrow, good or bad, and then the next day, and then the next day, all of a sudden it becomes the new normal.
Every sales staff I've ever had underneath me, I've always used the line, what we're experiencing today isn't because of today's decisions, they're because of 60 or 90 days ago's decisions. Mm-hmm. So what we decide today will set the pathwork for what we're doing in 60 or 90 days. If we're selling well, it's because we're starting something now in 60 days.
And it's also a decision to accept somebody else's decision, even if it's to your harm.
Yeah. What do they say? Silence is violence.
And if it rhymes, you know it's right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so your wife is going to hear this podcast. What would you say are your 3 favorite things about your bride?
Well, first is no contest. My wife's name is Samantha, my lovely, beautiful, just tremendous wife. But number 1, and I said it in our wedding vows, was her sense of wonder and wonderment. She experiences joy in their most blissful forms. When she experiences happiness, it lights up a room. It is tremendous to be around. It's intoxicating to be around because she will find the happy. She will find the joy. That is my absolute first favorite thing about her.
All right, number 2.
My second favorite thing about her is probably her appetite, because whenever she's hungry, which is always, I get to eat. And we like everything. Like there's not many foods I don't like. There are not many foods she doesn't like. It is very nice to have a hungry bride. Guys, get yourself a hungry lady.
What's number 3?
Number three, I'd probably I'm trying to veer away from another happiness-based one again, because that is Samantha in her entirety. She is happy, joy. Even when she's sad, she's not sad for long. I'd say her drive right now. She is working her full-time job. And every other waking moment, she is going to school and she's killing it. She's taking expedited classes. Every time I come home from work, she is there. She's doing the work. She's not wasting time in front of the TV or playing video games or just doing nothing, taking a nap. She is beyond dedicated right now. And so that's actually making me work harder in all the other facets of my life.
Now, you did not get married when you were 20 years old. You and Sammy were waiting until God knew the two of you were going to be perfect for each other. And so if you're listening and you're like, I haven't found my special person yet, don't settle.
I am so happy that it happened at 30 for many reasons. I got to have have a different 20s. I got to have a 20s where I tried on a lot of hats, had a lot of jobs, had a lot of relationships, made a lot of different friends. But Samantha came into my life exactly when she was supposed to, when I became an adult, when a lot of things that I don't think Samantha would have liked me very much at 22, 23 years old. I really don't. And that's why she showed up at 26 and we got married. One of us was 30, but it wasn't me. I like to tell her that all the time. She was 30, I was 29. And I said, well, one of us got married in our 20s.
So if you're listening and you haven't found your perfect person yet, just keep waiting. Just keep waiting. God's growing you. He's growing your other person. Just keep waiting. Wait to find somebody who's going to be extraordinary for you. Okay, Drew, so your start in music was your dad being very musical. You had that connection, but I did hear that you have a story about how music started.
Yeah, this is a story that I've told quite a few times this year, and that's because I finally gave someone that used to be a very big part of my family's life some closure about this. It was about the year 2000, 2001. It was about the year 2000, 2001, and a very close family friend of my mom and my dad, like it was a couple friend of theirs, they had a son who he died. He died after complications of attempting to take his own life. And he died, and as they're kind of getting rid of his things, I received a Nintendo 64. And this Nintendo 64 had WWE video games in it. It had WrestleMania 2000 and a couple of other games. And it got me, in my early ages, very into wrestling. And wrestling at the turn of the century, I like to say it was a very Limp Bizkit-y time in America. And it was a lot of new metal, very hardcore rap rock, rap and roll, whatever you want to call it, new metal. And that's very guitar driven. So guitar was kind of the soundtrack to the things I liked, which was wrestling. And without that, I don't walk into the kitchen and say, hey, Mom, I want to take guitar lessons at about 8 years old. And without that, I don't go on to become a teacher. And if I don't go on to become a teacher, I don't put, at this point, hundreds of musicians out into the world. And so as I was just kind of following this line, this series of events backwards, and I realized that it all really came down to that Nintendo 64 because he was in such a way as a young man, 16 so years old, that he felt the need to do what he did. But without receiving that, I don't put hundreds of musicians out into the world who might even be making musicians of their own right now through lessons or even having children who they're going to teach that guitar to. So I reached out to his mom because the dad has also since passed. This is a woman who has lost her husband, who has lost her son. And I sent her an email and I said, hey, I don't know if you know this, but because of CJ, there are a couple hundred musicians running around the St. Louis area that would otherwise not be there. So they all live on through him because of him.
And not just musically, but also music is their outlet. Music is their emotional support.
Yeah.
Music is their vent.
I know at
stress.
least a handful of them that when I was teaching them, they were not in the best spots. So because of that, they live on. CJ lives on through every student I've ever had because I wouldn't have become a teacher or a student for that matter without that Nintendo 64. And she emailed me back and she called me and it was like, she was like, occasionally CJ pops back into my life and I have no idea how he's going to do it, but this one is like one of my favorites. Promised her I'd keep sending her pictures of me being a musician, whether that's downstairs in our cafe here at the church playing or old pictures of me up on stage, all of these things, which I'd never ever get to do without CJ.
Well, and that also refined your business sensitivities and your people-centered approach, just all of your conversations in direct and indirect ways. So everything else that you've been able to do has been directly tied to that very life-changing moment.
That's a tattoo.
So I know if you work in a gym, it's annoying when people leave their stuff on the floor or they can't rack their plates or they sweat all over things or whatever, or they make a mess in the showers, whatever it is. What is that in the music world? Like, what's the annoying stuff that happens if you're running a music store?
Mostly it's the newer players and some of the older players who want to come in, crank it up to 11 and just go. Like there's not business trying to be conducted 10 feet away from them or really hearing them all the way over in keyboards, all the way over in drums. And you've seen Wayne's World, the Mike Myers movie?
That came out when my parents were young, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, there's a scene in which he plays Stairway to Heaven, and they very quickly grab the guitar in the wrong spot, I might add. That's a movie sin. They grabbed it above where his hands were playing. And nowadays, it's not, it still used to be, they'd go in and go, hey, I'm going to play the Forbidden Riff. I'm going to play Stairway to Heaven. And nowadays, it is not Stairway to Heaven. Can you guess what song it is? It's very easy. Everyone knows it, even if you don't.
Hot Cross Buns.
Yes. How did you get that? The podcast is over. Good job. It is Seven Nation Army by Jack White, or by the White Stripes, I should say. But I'd be having a really good day. Like 5 hours in, we're selling, and someone is going to go boom, 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 boom. And everyone's day is ruined. It's over. Go home. Pack up. We're done.
I've noticed you have done a lot of different jobs, and some of those jobs have an incredible amount of stress. One of your current jobs, working at the airport, from what I've heard from you, has a lot less stress. For me, my main job is as a pastor, but I do all sorts of other things like chaplaincy stuff with some funerals, podcasting, just a lot of different things. And I intersect with a lot of different lives, and there's a lot of stress. And I used to feel guilty about playing video games at all, but I've noticed when I have the least amount of control in my life, I get a tremendous reset just by playing a video game over which I have a tremendous amount of control in my life, which is why I don't really like playing massive multiplayer online games, because then a 12-year-old with a dirty mouth, he has control of your life as he sniper shoots you with a knife from 800 miles away. And then they show you the video of it. So I don't like those games, but I do like games that I have tremendous control over my life. When you're playing video games, do you find that to be a pretty healing experience, or is it just sort of you're escaping the chaos?
What I like now at 30, as opposed to being 12, 13, 14 years old, what I like about the games is the sense of accomplishment. You've heard the term achievement hunter.
Mm-hmm.
I have become an achievement hunter. I'm not just playing the game to play anymore. I'm pulling up the game card and I'm seeing what the developers have decided are the things that are worth doing for the gamer score points or for the PlayStation trophy or whatever. Now I'm going after that. Like, oh, you need me to do this 50 times? That's what I'm going to go do now. Pull it back up, like just ticking the boxes off. There's just some sense of satisfaction there for me. And that's just the video gamer that I have become. I don't do the MMOs either. The what do they call it? Massive multiplayer online, MMO. I don't do those either because I wasn't allowed to play online video games growing up, and I was an only child. So a single player campaign for me, thank you, sir.
I very much agree with that. And I don't want a 12-year-old, telling me about my mom's sex life because he's just making stuff up because she teabagged my character. I'm like, that's not refreshing to me. It's erosive to me. But yeah, if I've got control over it. It is interesting. Some of these games, though, are ridiculous. Like, did you pick 100,000 tulip flowers in this game?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, bro, I'm going to get that accomplishment.
That game you and I both love. I don't know if we'll give them any free publicity here, but it's been out for 15 years, and I go and find out that there are very basic achievements that I have not gotten yet because I have the game all modded up, and so achievements are disabled when mods are in play. And I'm like, it's been 15 years and I haven't adopted a child without mods active. It's been 15 years and I haven't picked 50 pockets and picked 50 locks without mods in play. I must really like mods.
Not that we here at I Love Maryland Heights encourage picking pockets or picking locks.
It's the story really that's picking the locks, not me.
That's right. It's the one that's opening the doors. I used to feel very guilty about playing video games, and I still say, hey, I should not be playing video games at 3 a.m., right? But man, I find it very refreshing to have a ton of control over something in my life, and then it helps me go back out. So hey, if you're playing video games, adult man, adult woman, playing video games, I would encourage you not to feel guilty. Don't let it dominate your life or be the one thing that you really look forward to, but enjoy it just like you can enjoy a bowl of ice cream. Is it healthy for you? Not physically, but emotionally, yeah, it is.
Ice cream we should come up with a t-shirt. Ice cream is beneficial, ... emotionally.
As a professional pastor, I have noticed whenever I'm watching a TV show or a movie about pastors, and even now, earlier today, I was at a big school event for one of my kiddos going to school, and there were so many speeches. And when the college kids were talking, I heard so many likes, kindas, and you knows that I just stopped listening. But then some of the administrative staff who should know how to do these things, and we're talking about how I worked in this country, their speeches were terrible. There was no point. And so as a professional communicator, I see these people professionally and I think this is devastatingly terrible. And whenever I see TV or movie pastors, I think this is devastatingly terrible. Or even if I hear Jedi Master give his Padawan advice that just doesn't work, I think that is devastatingly terrible. As a musician, when you hear music on TV shows or movies, are there any that really stand out for you as, wow, that's good?
Well, like, probably have to say, and like. No, I'd have to say one of the best movie soundtracks of all time is a little known film called A Knight's Tale.
Oh,
Yep.
we will rock you. Right at the beginning.
Yeah, with the Queen and the Thin Lizzy, and I think some 38 Special is in there. It is a beautiful classic rock homage. Like, what's really funny is you're mixing it with medieval stuff. It's not like monks chanting. It's not the Philip Glass ensemble. It's Queen. Like it really makes for a layered movie. Forrest Gump, probably another one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, because the music goes through the years with them. They're playing Elvis in the 50s. They're playing the Rooftop Singers in the 60s. They're playing disco in the 70s. It goes and goes and goes, and it matches the time perfectly. You know, they're playing Creedence Clearwater Revival in the forests in Vietnam. It's just Robert Zemeckis hired the exact right guy, whoever was in charge of, let's do this song, the music supervisor.
Yeah, it'd be hard to pick the iconic songs of each of these eras and nailing it, but they really did. Now that you mention it, they really did nail the songs in each of those eras.
I wish they'd do it more. Nowadays, they will. What really bugs me now is the stuff that the kids will latch onto, like the Stranger Things show that I haven't watched, but apparently it ends very poorly and everybody's upset with it. But these kids are going crazy like they never heard Metallica before because he's playing a little Metallica on the guitar, and it drives me up a wall. I'm like, you should already know this. Maybe you shouldn't know who Kate Bush is. I certainly think you do because she does Madonna better than Madonna does. This stuff isn't new. I don't like hyperfixating on it. The new Batman, where it's that Nirvana song, Something in the Way. That song never charted. It was never important, but then half of all the comic book guys made it their entire personality. Don't like when it's just the song became more famous than the movie.
So you are just so extraordinarily nice today because one of your more recent gigs, more of your creative outlets, is to do game shows.
Yes.
Give us a test drive.
All right. Let me get loosey-goosey here. I got pre-game show rituals I need to get out of the way here in about 5 seconds. All right. We're here with Mark. Mark, how does it feel to be on the show?
It's pretty neat. I mean, I'm really overwhelmed by all the cameras.
Yeah, you look overwhelmed, but you know what? We're gonna make this real easy for you because I brought a special edition of Game Show Battle Rooms right to your front door right here. We play a game called Survey Battles. We went out and we asked 100 people what they thought, and we put their top 4 questions on the board, and it is our very own creation. We made this game show with no help from anybody whatsoever, but instead of asking you to name the top 4, we're gonna do number 1 answers only. Are you ready? Name me a famous fictional dad.
Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson is the number 1 answer. Let's continue to move on. Name an animal you do not want to see at your campsite.
Alligator.
Alligator is not up on the board. Would you like a second guess?
Don't guess alligator again?
Don't guess alligator. We're not in Florida.
Bear.
Bear. A bear. That is the number 1 answer. Name a gift that is good to give for both Mother's and Father's Day. You got 5 seconds.
Going to a restaurant.
No, we were looking for the bare minimum. A card. A greeting card. Name something your mom would pack just in case.
Toilet paper.
Well, no. Did your mom have toilet paper in her purse?
If you knew my mom, yes.
We were looking for clothes. I would have also accepted underwear, which is what everybody always wants to say.
You need toilet paper much more often than you need extra clothes.
Okay, fair enough. All right. And finally, what Looney Tune would you want on your bank heist?
Babs Bunny.
Babs Bunny. Surprisingly is probably answer number 5. We're looking for Bugs Bunny. He's putting the whole thing together. He's probably the crime lord of the family.
Babs Bunny's got everything Bugs Bunny has, but she's way cooler.
Babs is the pink one. That's like his niece, right?
I don't know if there's actually relationships between them.
So Buster and Babs are I'm pretty sure like niece and nephew of Bugs Bunny.
There might be. They are fictional.
I don't know. Tiny Toon Adventures is a 10 out of 10.
Absolutely.
Especially Tiny Toon Adventures, What I Did Summer Vacation. Great movie.
Animaniacs deserve special honorable mention.
You know, I wasn't an Animaniacs guy. I think that my mom decided that I wasn't allowed to watch Animaniacs. I did like Rugrats. I loved Rugrats. That is the 90s, is the Rugrats.
All right. So we started this whole conversation with a just amazing song. And honestly, you are here today and we're sharing you right now because I heard this song and I thought, I can't hear this song and not do whatever I can to share this with the world because it is amazing. And I know you've talked about you've got plans for the song that we shared at the very beginning. We're going to share a little bit again here towards the end. What does it take to write a song?
You know what? I don't know if that question is right for me. You've heard the phrase music and lyrics. I am music. I am not lyrics. I show up to band practice and I say, what are the chords? I do not help write the lyrics often. So this is really my first full stab at writing my very own song. Most of it is me. I did admittedly have some help, but it really just takes some free time and some inspiration. Like the song that I wrote, Sweet Sweet Day, it's not about everything going right. It's about nothing going wrong and that being okay too. Everything is fine. Not everything is amazing and extraordinary and wonderful. Everything's cool. Nothing's really going bad right now. And that's where I was kind of when I was just thinking about it while I was sitting in the airplane hangar. I'm just one of my many other jobs. I was just sitting in the hangar, doom scrolling, and I just kind of got this melody caught in my head. And I was like, I could put words to that. Well, I could put more words to that. Well, I could put even more words to that, and just went on and on and on.
I think the neat thing about the song, and I'm hoping to kind of influence people who are going to listen to the little snippet we're going to play in a little bit, but I like it just sort of for me, like a slow start Saturday. It's just the clouds are just kind of going because they forgot that they're supposed to drift. You have this like the breeze like rolling through branches of apricot tree, clear water over the stones. And you're looking at it, it's just so many from outside your head, seemingly random, just slow start Saturday images. Like you're just kind of out there, not glamping, right? We're just camping in a air-conditioned cabin with a satellite TV. But also, you're not cranky because you spent the night sleeping on a rock and a tick is attached itself to your eyeball. It's just a slow Saturday in the country, and you're just kind of seeing you're living in the moment. And I love the song. And I hope that people, when they hear this song, whether you publish it or somebody picks it up, I hope when they hear this song over their Pandora or Spotify or whatever they're doing, YouTube Music, whatever they're doing, I hope that they just take a breath and just a pause and whatever crazy chaos is going on in the world and just enjoy the song. I think it's neat because life is so complicated now. It is so complicated now. And then this song just kind of rolls through your phone.
Isn't it, I want to say fantastic, but I really want to say, isn't it completely awful that just having nothing, no boxes to check, and you can just wake up and today is my day. There's no obligations I have, that I just can open up the window, have a cup of coffee, walk around the house, do whatever. That is so blissful and so happy because of the hustle and bustle of today, whether you are somebody who reads a lot of headlines and follows the news very closely, or you're balancing being a good husband and a good father, or you're balancing 3 jobs, but to just wake up and have nothing to do and it's nice outside and you can do whatever you want. A blank slate is essentially not as happy as you can get, but the amount of happiness that is and how rare it is.
Some people who things are so chaotic that they just need a half hour of someone not telling them something, screaming at them, telling them to get going, to work faster, to sell more, to get more quotas. And the song that you played, for me, when I heard this, I just thought, there's just a pause. And there might not be a pause in 10 minutes. It might not be a pause in an hour. But while I'm listening to this song, everything is just on pause. Anything about your song that you like to toss out there before we give it a play?
You might understand right away that it is not me singing, but it kind of is. I sang into a bot. I gave it my cadence and tone so it would get the pitches right, but it would also get the cadence and rhythm of the words right. It did take a few creative ventures, I'll say, but I really only said, make this sound like a soft female John Mayer. That's what I said to it, because I didn't want it to be me. I can't, I'm a decent singer, I'm okay, but if I want to sell this to some publishing house, I need to give them the best audio effect of what this is going to be like for whatever artist that you are going to sell this to in turn. Because I don't think I'm going to self-publish it. I think I'm going to sell it. And maybe in a year or two, maybe I hear somebody like a Carly Rae Jepsen or some other amazing woman singer-songwriter playing this. I can't wait to be surprised and see if it goes anywhere.
I think it's a great choice. I, though, definitely favor female singers. I don't know if it's a biology thing, a cultural thing, but especially for this song that you played, it just adds to the sleepy Saturday. If it was a guy going, sweet, sweet day, you'd be like, okay, information conveyed. The voice that you chose, you polished it well. It's just gentle and soft. So we can't play the whole song, but we did want to play part of the song. And so we're going to play a little bit right now as our finale, as our outro for this whole conversation. So Drew, thank you for being a part of why I love Maryland Heights.
Thank you.
And the day keeps saying easy now, easy now. I can hear it clearly, loud in the quiet What a sweet, sweet day. What a sweet, sweet day. Nothing on my back.
I did notice your Ren and Stimpy reference earlier about happy, happy, joy, joy.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't think you should call your wife Stimpy.
No, I'm Stimpy.